All of my
Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of Thinking Thursday. I'm your host, Bronwyn Lucas, and tonight we have some very special guests to share with us. I'll introduce them a little later, but they're here. I'll just say hello, hi Lisa, hello Felicia, and hello Sister
hello.
Mama Sonia. So they will introduce themselves in a little bit, and I'll tell you about them. But tonight's topic is all about hope. Hope is not just some construct that, makes you feel good. We're going to discuss the importance of hope from a psychological point of view. It really has a lot of value in our life. But if you've ever seen the show before, you know we start off with deep breaths. For those of you who've never been here before, let me tell you why. As you take in slow, deep breaths that we're going to do in just a little bit, you'll find out that those slow, deep breaths add more oxygen to your lungs, to your brain, and allows your body to calm down and just be a little more mellow. And we all need a relaxing moment. So we like to start off Thinking Thursday with taking a moment to breathe. Now, as you breathe in, you're going to breathe in so deeply that you can feel your stomach expand because you're taking in so much air into your body, so much oxygen. So sit up tall, and I will count you in to the count of four, and then you'll exhale to the count of four. So let's breathe together. Breathe in, two, three, four, out, two, three, four. In, two, three, four, out, two, three, four. One more in, two, three, four, out, two, three, four. Hopefully that has allowed you just to have a woosah moment and breathe for a moment and take yourself in a calmer space and get rid of some of the cares of the world. And I know this world has lots of cares and things that can keep you from being anything but calm. But hopefully, a few deep breaths can help. And I always like to remind you that that's something you can do at any time of the day when you're feeling that stress, that anxiety, depression, bad moods, anger come along. Stop. Take 3 to 5 deep breaths. They can change your life. I can tell you stories later on in another segment how it can actually save your life by changing your mood. Well, as I said tonight, we are joined by Elisa Daniels and Felicia Williams and Sister Mama Sonia. Felicia Williams is my cousin, and she does some of everything. She is like the entrepreneur extraordinaire. She was my real estate broker. She's my tax consultant. She is an insurance broker. And Hall's Bakery, her grandmother, my great aunt, was the first Black-owned bakery in Houston, and she is carrying on that family tradition. She was a math teacher at TSU and HISD. That's just a list of some of the things. So I'll just say that's baby cuz, and we'll leave it there. Alisa, in addition to being a supreme prayer warrior extraordinaire who has led a prayer group for 25 years, she was the first Black person, not just the first Black woman, but the first Black person elected to the Employee Retirement System Board of the state of Texas. She also was the board chair from August 2019 to 2020. No other Black person, male or female, has had this position. So you know she's a bad sister to be able to be in that position. Both of the and Sister Mama Sonia, who is my older sister, is going to end us in a poem. She is a poet extraordinaire. Yes, I've said extraordinaire to all of these ladies because they're just extraordinary women that I'm glad that they're in my life. So they are going to all share with us tonight different things. So I look forward to just being here with them and having them share. So I want to talk a little though about this thing called hope. If you, when you think about hope, a lot of times we think about, oh, I hope something will happen, maybe kind of sort of it will happen. But that's not what hope is. I want to reiterate something I always talk about, and that's when we look at ourselves, we look at our physical, mental, and spiritual being. And that's all one. They're really not separate. When you impact one, you impact the other. So when we look at hope, hope is a spiritual thing. Hope is physical. Hope, when you lose hope in life, it can impact your physical well being. It can impact your mental well being and your spiritual well being. Hope, in and of itself, is a resource. It is a resource for life, for living. Psychologists say, will remind you that hope is not a luxury. For mental health, it's a necessity. Hope is that belief that things will work out. It's actually it's fundamental to our well-being. Um, it does make life more enjoyable, but it also provides us with resilience for things to deal with things like post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, and when you have those extreme depression with suicidal thoughts, that hope, the belief that you can get through a situation, it can be the one thing that makes you get through. Hope is actually an active coping mechanism. It's not passive in a mental health perspective. It is how you cope. Um, Hope is about using your personal well being to achieve your desired outcome. We think about hope and we think about optimism, and they're a little different. Optimism is when people just expect the things to happen, but hope is when you put work and effort into it. Hope requires work. Hope is not passive, it's very active. Because if you're going to have hope in the midst of a negative situation, hope in the midst of troubles, oh, that takes work. And these ladies are going to talk to us about that, how they're going to share stories of things they've gone through, but they're still here, they're still fighting. So tonight is really all about giving you a sense of hope. If you're listening, maybe your hope is dwindled. Maybe you have thought about some things, suicide, or maybe you've gone through some trauma and it's like, I just can't make it. I can't move on. These ladies are going to share with you tonight some ways they have managed to hold on to hope, because that is a very important thing. So Felicia, how what have been some things that have caused you to maybe even want to lose hope, but you haven't? You're still standing. Share with us what's going on with you.
Well, good evening, everyone. Hope for me is saying good morning. Okay. And what I mean by that is I had an accident April the 9th of 2019 and stayed in the hospital a year. I came home in 2020, but every day I was in that hospital, hope for me was saying good morning. And with that came surgeries, 13 surgeries, 30 blood transfusions, and 8 hip surgeries, which failed. And I remember one morning waking up, looking over there at Sister Mama Sonia. And the look I gave her, she knew automatically I was looking for answers. And the answer was, was my surgery successful this time, that morning? And she couldn't tell me no. She put it in such a beautiful way, like, well, we ran into a snag and um, but she said everything but it didn't work out this time. So every morning I woke up, I kept hoping and praying that I would walk again, that I would live, because I experienced um, staph infections that the doctors gave me. I was experiencing numbness. I couldn't lift my leg. I couldn't feel my leg. And so, not knowing if I was going to walk again, hope for me was that every morning I wake up that I would get better, that I had high expectations that each day would be a day that I would move forward and that would be one more step towards walking again. And so I also had to learn that in that journey, I found out that it was some things that was disappointed during this journey, but at the end, I found out that it wasn't for everybody to go through this journey with me. God wanted me to go through this journey by myself in some ways. Um, I end up being able to come home January the 1st of 2020. Stayed bedridden all of 2020, but grateful that I got out right before COVID hit us in February of 2020. And fast forward, here we are in 2021. God has blessed me where not only am I not bedridden any longer, I graduated to the wheelchair. When I did, I celebrated. I mean, I gave God all the glory. And with that, hope is counting it all joy. Okay. From there, after celebrating the wheelchair, just recently, the last few months, I've been able to use a rollator walker. Well, I went to a regular walker, let me say that first. And then within the last, maybe 2 months, I've been on a rollator and I was scared of it because rollators, they can get from up under you. So that tells me that my gait got stronger. I was able to, um, do a little bit more range of motion, that kind of thing. So today, it's amazing that you asked me to speak today. I was in therapy today at TIER, and they took the walker away from me. They didn't warn me, they just took it. And when they took the walker, they gave me two sticks, and the sticks were like the size of a mop. And at the bottom of the mop, we have the little things that you use to sweep. Well, they took it and they put some stoppers at the bottom of them so they could grip the floor. And the guy snatched the walker from me. And when he snatched the walker, he put the sticks in my hand. And we put the sticks in my hand. He immediately said, "Take off with your right." And I started walking with two sticks, poles. And I wasn't in between the parallel bars any longer. And they made me go around the whole building, which is about a mile.
Mm, amazing.
And I had a therapist in front of me and a therapist behind me. But when I got to the end,
Mm.
that's hope. That's what hope is for me.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Mm. You got the whole panel here just crying with you. But when we think about hope, there are many people, and I can just even elaborate a little more, with her being able to be in the hospital for a year. For some people, that would have been enough to say, I can't do it. I give up.
Yeah.
And there were moments, trust me, I was on the phone, I called, this be on my mind. Okay, I picked up the phone. I feel like I need to pray with you today. And I would just call, wouldn't have a conversation.
Yeah.
Pray. I said, I'm in the middle of clients, but I'm gonna pray with you. And okay, bye now. Because I could feel it in my spirit. And she would say those, I remember her saying, that's the time she might have needed it. But
Yes.
when we're on to this journey with hope, in spite of what's going on, it's something you don't do alone. This is why you shouldn't take for granted the community you have and build your community. The bigger, the better, the stronger. But have that community so that when you're going through, sometimes your ability to hope may wane. But when you have that community and those around you, it can help you hold on. And
Yeah.
so today, for her to be able to walk, it was just like, oh my gosh, to hear that. I'm thankful with you. I'm ready to run up and
Yes.
shout out of here with you. That was
It's
just awesome.
amazing. It's amazing how God worked that out because when you called my phone, they saw I was getting tired. I had kind of started shaking. And they immediately just sat me down on there's like a table that they use. And they kind of start seeing I start shaking at some point, and they just sat me down. As soon as they sat me down, you called me.
Mm.
And when I hung up the phone, I just broke down. I hope I didn't scare anybody in that place. And then my therapist, they just ran over to me. They thought maybe they hurt me. And I told them no, it was tears of joy. And I told them that my cousin just called me to speak about hope. And this is my first time walking without my walker. Even though I wasn't walking solo, I had those big sticks. It was just amazing that because with the walker, I'm tall, I'm 5'10", and I'm bending over. And with those sticks, I was walking straight and upright. And even though they were behind me and in front of me, it was just like amazing.
Yeah.
It was just tears of joy.
Ooh, thank you for sharing your story of hope. And Alisa,
Yeah.
tell us about your hope journey.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like I have been so superbly blessed throughout life, and so I'd had some struggles, but like so my real hope journey started in 2013. In 2013, my older sister, which is the only sister that I have three brothers, but that's my only sister, and she and I are super super close. She got diagnosed with a massive brain tumor. It was so big and so bad that she got diagnosed on a Tuesday, and they did the surgery on Wednesday because they were amazed that she was still alive, as large as the tumor was. So she went through three surgeries with that, and they were able to get the tumor, but they had to put on steroids. And so in 2012. And so in 2013, she had a series of mini strokes. Put her in a chair. And so that was hard. In the midst of all of that, my mom got sick and had to go on dialysis. She went into renal failure. She had to go on dialysis. And then in 2014, that's where the really part where I had to have hope or I wouldn't have had anything. My husband passed away in February the 9th of 2014. And so that was more than that I could ever put into words how difficult that was. So, we continued the journey. November of 2014, one of my uncles passed away. Then 2015 came, my mother was ill almost a whole year, in and out of the hospital, in and out of rehab all year long. And then November 28th of that year, my mother passed away. And then in February of 2016, my mother-in-law passed away. So it was a journey. And there were days that I wasn't sure how I was going to get out of the bed. I just knew that I had to. And that's where the hope came in and the prayer came in. And, and I'm so blessed that I have prayer partners. And so for the audience, these two ladies are part of my prayer circle. And so I'm, so honored to be in their presence each morning, as we are honored to be in presence of each other. And so it was prayer, it was hope, and it was that the promise that there may be weeping at night, but that joy will come with the morning, that helped me to make it to make it through those journeys. And what we have to understand about journeys is they are just that. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, you're going to walk backwards sometimes, but the hope lets you know that even on the days that you walk backwards, you'll have the opportunity to go forward again, and that you can keep your eye on the prize. But in the midst of, and then even in the midst of all of the crazy that was going on, God was still doing things with me, and for me. So because I was falling into a deep state of depression, I chose to start an exercise routine, right? So I started with water aerobics, and anybody who knows me know that's funny because I absolutely hate water, but but I fell in love with water aerobics. And so but I started that journey, and I started to just eat a little bit better, just to make sure that I was just trying to take care of my health in the midst of that. And so in the midst of that medication that I had to be on, I was able to get off the medication, to maintain the my health on, with the exercise and with the diet and all of those things. And then in 2015 was when I got elected to that board, to the board, as the first African American person to be a part of it. So I didn't get to share that with my mother, my husband, but I did get to share that part of my life. That was the last major accomplishment that I had, that I was able to share with my mom, and that was an amazing part of the journey. And so hope is what gets, is when you have all of those things pummeling down on you at one time. It's the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. It's the thing that lets you know that, you know that I'm, I don't know how today I'm gonna make it, but I will. And it's sometimes an emotional roller coaster. So don't give up hope because you're on the roller coaster. Know that it's the fun part, because going up the hill on the roller coaster is not the fun part. It's it's the dip down that gives you that little rush. And so we just have to know that on the roller coaster, where there's a valley, then there's a moment. And I remember a sermon that about valley moments. And the valley time is a time that we get a chance to reflect and we get a chance to grow, so that when we get to the mountaintop, we'll be appreciative of it. So
Mm.
that's my hope journey.
Whew, you both leave me a lot to comment on. I have we'll dialogue in a second, but Felicia called it a journey, and you said where there is a valley, there is a moment. And one of the things we have to understand is that we will have valleys,
Yes.
and we can't let the valley take us out. Frederick Douglass says, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." And that's in anything in our life. We will have struggle. One of the comments in the section says, hope is actionable. How we respond and how you go forward. We are the hope of the enslaved. We are someone else's hope. They and on and on and on. That our hope comes from a litany of things that have happened before us, and we can be that hope for someone in the future. But when we think about a journey of hope, hope doesn't just, we just don't wake up and say, okay, I got hope. No, we have to fight for it. As I said, it is an action. We have to fight. And when I listen to what you guys said, it wasn't easy. And I thank you, Alisa, for sharing that, sometimes you were just depressed. We don't want to use that word, especially as African American women. We believe falsely that we don't have the luxury of being depressed. It is not a luxury, and it is not an option. It can happen in your life. You don't choose it. Anyone who has ever gone through anything, they don't choose to go through it. You talked a lot about grief. That grief and loss we feel, you don't choose it.
Yes.
You don't wake up and say, well, all these people going to leave my life and this is how I'm going to handle it. I'm going to be depressed. So it's not a luxury. It is a result. But the hope, that active coping mechanism is what can get us through. It could be that resource to help us move from point A to point B. I wanted to read you guys some things and get your thoughts about this, what research says about hope. Now, and before I do that, let's think about where we are in America right now. Right now, we are watching Chauvin's trial because of the murder of George Floyd.
Mhm.
We are seeing the world open up with COVID, and we're seeing numbers go up.
Mhm.
We're seeing voting rights being eroded. We're seeing there may be changes in one area of political arena, but not another. And because there may be someone we may like, others are saying, well, you know what? We got to stop you from voting. We are seeing mass shootings.
Mhm.
How many we've seen in the last just week? There have been 3 or 4.
Mhm.
So when you look at our world and just see what's out there, boy, that can sound like, well, what hope is there? Well, the hope is that that's only one segment of life. What do you bring to the life? What do you bring to the table? What do you have inside of you that can keep you hopeful? Here's some benefits to hope. People who maintain a sense of hope, they're more likely to attain their goals. Whatever goals you've set up, you're more likely to attain them. Because here's the thing, if you tell yourself, I can do it, you know what? You're more likely to do it than if you tell yourself, I can't do it. Because if you tell yourself, I don't think I can
Right.
do it, you've already defeated yourself. So you know what? You won't do it because you've already told yourself you can. Um, Studies show that people with hope have healthier lifestyles because when you have a sense of hope, you have a sense that you're going to move on and things are going, you're progressing and moving forward. So if you're progressing and moving forward, you're going to take care of yourself better. Um, People with hope are known to recover from illness better. Felicia talked about all she went through. Had she given up hope, she wouldn't have walked today. Had
Man,
Lisa said, I can't take it, all these folks did, I just can't do it, she wouldn't be there. She wouldn't have been on that board as hurt as she was when her husband died. Had she given up hope, she wouldn't have been on the board. She would not have been that first Black person because without saying, I still have hope, she wouldn't have recovered. So it can keep us physically and mentally, it can allow us to recover. People with hope experience, and this is logical to me, experience a higher level of satisfaction in life. So even when stuff looks crazy, when you have that sense of hope, you can be more satisfied in life. Two more things. They have a stronger sense of meaning and purpose because you know that when you're going through something and you hold on to your hope, that you're here for a greater reason. And the last one, hope can impact your mental health. Well, this particular study was looking at young people, but if you look at other studies in general at any age, hope can impact your mental health. As I said, for me, it's logical because our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being, that's all of us. It's one. We're not physical, spiritual, mental separate. When you impact one, you impact the other. Ladies, what are your thoughts about just hope in general? What are some of those comments I said about hope? Alisa?
Yes, so I fully agree that hope is what keeps us going and gives you that chance because in the 90s, my older brother, um he got hit by a car and when I say he was damaged so much so that they didn't think that he would live, but he started to recover so soon. They were like, what? And it's because, and what he told us, he said, I never considered the fact that I could have died. He never even considered death. And so since he didn't consider death, he had life, right? So but he didn't even consider that he could die. He said it just never crossed his mind that I could die. I'm gonna, I know I'm gonna have to work hard to get back to where I want to be, but it never considered. And so I do, you're right. And it was the fact, like I said, even me, running for the board, that it was an action for me to be able to do that. I had to collect signatures to get on the ballot. I had to get on the ballot. I had to go do debates. I had to do all of those things to even be able to participate. And then I had to go through the election process, right? So hope allowed me to be able to take a new step in my life. And so, yeah, at some point there would have been an African American person, but I would not have been that person to be able to make that history. And so it is that those are the things definitely that keep it. And like I told you, even about my health, it was hope that made me exercise, and then I was able to get off medication, you know. I was just able to feel a little bit better. I was able to release those endorphins that make you feel better, and make you be able to take another step even when you don't want to. You
Mm-hmm.
can.
Yeah. Felicia, what do you have to say about hope? Those comments, those that I talked about hope. What do you have to say?
well, when I think about hope, I think about what the Bible say about writing a vision and making it plain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can't have a vision without having hope, and you can't have hope without having a vision. And
Mm-hmm.
I never saw myself being totally um, handicapped or being in a bed deteriorating. just not being functional in any type of way. So to me, hope is having a vision, writing it down and making it plain.
And that is, you said you never saw yourself that way. And the same with your brother. How you see yourself has a lot to do with how you function. And that's that mind, body, spirit. Your body could be saying, "Oh no, I'm shutting down. I had this accident and that's it." But your mind can tell you, that's not the way it is. And it's not like it's just so simple, you just say it and it changes. However, it is a very important part of it when you tell yourself that you want to do something different, how you see yourself, how you perceive yourself. When you choose how you perceive yourself, yes, it can make a difference. Here's a quote: "Hope isn't the alleviation of fearful risk or the sidelining of anxiety. It's a choice to see beyond the current circumstances to something better, despite the presence of those feelings." The choice to see beyond current circumstances to something better, despite the presence of negative feelings. So, in that sense, there is a choice that we make, to move on. Sister Mama Sonia, I know you're doing a point for us today, and what are your thoughts about some of the things we've said about hope?
Do you want the poem now or just talking about hope?
Your thoughts about
My thought. I mean, everything was on point. When I look at Elisa and when I look at my little cousin now over there, I have walked those journeys with them.
Yeah.
I when Elisa's husband made his transition, we were there that night. As a matter of fact, Bronwyn, they were at your house that Christmas, right before at Kwanzaa. And y'all, they say don't speak ill of the dead, but that boy was a fool. He was just so funny. And with Elisa, I mean with Lisa, Felicia, it really, really, to hear that she walked, y'all don't know, I want to get up and just run and jump and scream and holler. Because I did spend a couple of nights in the hospital with her. We carried food to the house and everything. I mean, they are living, shining, breathing examples of what hope looks like, what hope feels like. Elisa and Felicia and I were in the hospital at the same time. I had I had a tumor taken out. Thank God it wasn't cancerous in 2019. In 2020, I had my toe taken off. And in 2021, I had a total hysterectomy last Monday. So when I think about all of that, I said I had a surgery, one for the Father, one for the Son, one for the Holy Spirit. I ain't having no more surgery. But in the midst of all of that, I had hope that everything was going to be all right. And even if I did leave the hospital with 9 toes instead of 10, the good news is that I can still walk, I can run, I can jump, I can drive now. So hope it is a mindset. And I want to thank you ladies for, you for being in my life. And then I want to just mention my sister Bronwyn. Okay, I'm gonna cry now. But as we've gone through so much. We lost our baby sister. We didn't lose her. We know where she is. She's in heaven. A lot of people say that. But anyway, my baby sister made a transition 2, 3, and 2017. This will be the 4th year. And the year before that, we lost our daddy, and 12 years before that, our mama. So we've experienced some losses, but in spite of all of it, we were there to lean on each other. And I just thank God for my sister that when I feel like I'm going there, she's one that doesn't cry. When she calls me and says she's having a moment, I put everything down because I got to be there for her because she's always been there for me. So to all 3 of you ladies, you all are the epitome of what hope looks like.
Oh, thank you.
When I thought about doing this, you guys were the ones that came to mind. And I guess Felicia, that's why you were ever present on my mind because of today. It was, like you say, it's so significant. And one of the things when we think about hope, for me, my hope comes from my relationship with God, through his son, Jesus Christ. It's like, hope when it doesn't seem logical. Hope is not a logical thing. As a matter of
No.
fact, hope is pretty illogical. That I am feeling good and feeling positive about things, and look at what's going on. So that's what hope is. It's not a feeling, it's an action. It requires work. Looking at again the mental health aspect of it, hope can impact our anxiety. I talked a few minutes ago, I just made a comment about our world right now. Our political arena is still crazy. Laws are being passed. They're looking at more voter suppression laws in the state of Texas. We see what's happening in Alabama. We look and when we see injustice, and we're just waiting to see what's going to happen with the trial of Chauvin as he murdered George Floyd. We look at COVID, not sure where we are with that. Although people are getting their vaccinations, we're not sure what that's going to mean. We're still not freely moving around. Not everybody, you're still wearing a mask. There's still limits to your life. All of those can add to your anxiety just because you wake up in the morning, and this is the state of the world right now. So just waking up in the morning can mean I'm in an anxious state. So what do you do to deal with that? Some of the things that relate to hope, as I said, is an action. Hope gives you strength. So, and hope allows you to be resilient. People who have hope have more resilience. So as you think about everything I said, rather than feeling like, oh my gosh, she said all that, well, I can't feel good. Hope gives you a sense of resilience, a sense of I'm going to fight through. I can make it. That's what hope can do for you. So when you're in your most anxious moment, you switch your focus. One of the things I had one client do was when she started thinking, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? I said, why not just ask yourself, and what if it doesn't? So hope says, I can look at everything negative that's going to happen, and I can imagine what's going to happen. And hope says, and what if it doesn't? Or what if I can, instead of what if I can't? So when you take those negative thoughts and you stop them, there is something in psychology called thought stopping, where you're not going to let that thought grow. So when you hear yourself telling yourself negative thoughts, stop them, replace them. One of the things I do is have people have affirmations. Some people, I've had people take their cell phone, because most people have a cell phone, and on the front, on your screen saver, I've had people save a scripture, a quote, or something that can make you feel good. Why your cell phone? Most people have their cell phone with them all the time. So at your most weak moment, you can pick it up and hit it, and your lock screen is going to tell you something positive. A scripture, a quote, a saying, an affirmation, something to make you feel good, something that is going to generate hope, because that hope is an action that can work for you. But also practice being grateful. I challenge you all to create a gratitude journal, and every night write 3 things that you're grateful for that day. And sometimes it's just a sucky day, and your thing may be, I made it through this day, it's over, and I'm closing my eyes to sleep. That may be where you are. And if so, write it down. Write down something every day that you're grateful for. And at the end of the month, today is April 1st. So I challenge everybody, including myself, because I am not a great journaler, but I challenge everybody, including myself, at the end of the day, starting today, write down something you're grateful for. Just something you're grateful for every day for a month. And at the beginning of May, we're going to see, how did that make you feel? You'd be surprised. There is a lot of power in being grateful. It's so much power, so much. And that gratefulness can help generate that hope, because when you realize, oh, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, that's going to generate a sense of hope, because it's like, okay, this may be bad over here, but I'm looking over here. I am changing my focus. And when you change that focus, oh yeah, it can make a difference. So spend time in that gratitude, just being in that space of, I'm going to, I'm going to make myself feel good. Just be there. Sister Mama Sonia has a poem before I give my call to action for tonight. You have a poem dealing with hope.
And let me first apologize to the audience. I got a text from my sister said, look like he engaged. But what I was doing, I was listening what everybody was saying. The poem I initially had, this is something I just wrote, listen to what everybody else said. So it goes like this. You hear the words all the time. I hope you feel better. I hope all is well. I hope, I hope, I hope. But just what does that mean? You have a catastrophic accident. You no longer have employment. You lose your father, mother, your sister, your brother, your grandpa, your granny, your beloved spouse, your uncle, your cousin, or your auntie. The well-meaning tell us just to have hope. But just what does that mean? Hope is the belief that things will work out. It's what's not giving up is all about. Hope is saying good morning, knowing that I will get another chance. Hope is being able to do that hallelujah healing dance. Hope is counting it all joy when I may not see the light at the end of the tunnel. Hope is imagining that victory is in your sight. Hope is having and knowing that you have a community, one that will lift you up as you go towards your destiny. Hope gets you through because it's not a destination through, it isn't. And there is a blessing on the other side of that through. Hope can open your eyes when they seem shut. Hope puts a taste in your mouth when you ain't even hungry. Hope stops the thoughts of negativity. Hope lets you hear the sweet sounds when the world sound is deafening. Hope allows you to feel when you experience paralysis. Hope allows you to get out of that valley when you are in that moment. Hope is prayer, supplication, meditation, celebration. Hope is knowing that we will survive the pandemics of COVID-19 and racism, the aftermath of the February Texas freeze. Hope is spiritual, mental, and physical peace. When hope sets in, the vision gets clearer. Hope is leaning and depending on our big daddy named Jesus, knowing that he will always be there for us. Hope is, you don't see yourself in the no, but you bask in the yes, even when you don't feel like it. So just what does that mean? Hope is looking in the mirror, no matter what is going on. There's not always going to be a pie in the sky. Sometimes we're just going to feel like we don't know which way to go. And the sun will not always be shining. Sometimes it's going to be dark. Sometimes we're going to be, as we said, depressed. But hope is looking in that mirror every morning when you say good morning, Felicia, and saying to that person in the mirror, well, I did it.
Yeah.
I can do it now, and I will. Because no matter what, I have hope, as Lionel Richie says, still.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Nice,
you.
man.
As we wind
Beautiful.
down,
That was beautiful.
That was.
tonight's topic was God hope. I hope you do. And hope in this sense is healing, optimism, perseverance, and effort. Hope allows you to heal physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Hope allows you to have optimism as opposed to pessimism. Hope takes perseverance and it takes effort, but hope is one of the greatest things you can maintain to do to achieve spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. I always like to end with a call to action, something you can remember to do. And the first thing this week's call to action is be grateful. Find something to be grateful for every day. Like I say, even if it's I made it through the day, it was a horrible day at work, I can't believe it happened, and I covered my head and I'm going to sleep. Cover your head, but be thankful that you're still here to cover.
Hallelujah.
Practice hope. It's action.
It is.
In the most hopeless of times, practice hope. And the last two are going to remain the same for a long time. Stay politically aware. When you look at our political system, as I said, that's one of those things that could make you not want to have hope. Stay politically aware and politically active. What can you do?
Mhm.
And the last one, mask up. It's not time to take our mask off yet. As much as we want to, mask up, because masking is caring.
It is.
Mm.
So I want to remind you that mental health is health. So
Yes.
hang on to your mental health, because mental health is health. And do what you can to be mentally healthy and help someone else find their mental well-being also. Thinking Thursday will be off on 2 weeks. I'm going to a training and there'll be no work other than the training for the next 2 weeks, but I'll be back stronger than ever. So I'll see you, and I will post that and maybe post some and remind you how you can look at some others on YouTube. Please look at my YouTube channel, Thinking Thursday with Bronwyn. You can catch other Thinking Thursdays.
Cool.
And good night. Have a great week and remain hopeful. Thank you for joining.